And just when you think you figured things out, when branding, consistency, and clarity finally start making sense, another layer of reality appears, quieter but far more demanding. Because now the question is no longer, what is my brand? But can my content actually deliver on that promise every single time? And this is where many creators face their toughest challenge, because building a brand is one thing, but sustaining it is a completely different battle. Because a brand without strong content is just an idea, and an idea alone doesn't grow on YouTube. Execution does. And execution is where most creators struggle, not because they lack talent, but because they lack systems, because they rely on motivation instead of structure, inspiration instead of process. And when motivation fades, as it always does, the consistency breaks and the channel starts to lose momentum again. Now imagine your viewer again, sitting in front of their screen, scrolling through endless videos, and suddenly they see yours, and they click, not by accident, but because your title sparked curiosity, your thumbnail created tension, and your brand promised a certain experience. And now the pressure shifts to your content, because if what they find inside doesn't match what was promised outside, they leave. And that one small moment defines whether you gain a subscriber or lose a potential follower forever. This is where storytelling becomes your most powerful tool, because people don't just watch information, they connect with stories, with journeys, with progression. And if your content feels like a journey, even if it's educational or analytical, people stay longer, engage more, and start to trust your voice, because storytelling isn't limited to entertainment. It's a structure that can transform even the simplest topics into engaging experiences. And here's where creators either level up, or stay stuck. They learn to think like viewers, not just creators, because the audience doesn't care about how hard something was to make. They care about how it makes them feel, how it holds their attention, how it delivers value without wasting their time. And if your content consistently respects their time, they begin to respect your channel in return. But maintaining this level of quality across multiple videos is not easy, because every video requires energy, focus, and creativity. And if you don't have a system in place, burnout becomes inevitable. And burnout is one of the silent killers of YouTube channels, because it doesn't happen instantly. It builds slowly until one day you just stop uploading, not because you failed, but because you're exhausted. That's why successful creators don't just rely on talent. They rely on systems, on routines, on repeatable processes that help them create content efficiently without losing quality, because when you remove randomness from your workflow, you create consistency, and consistency is what algorithms reward over time. Now think about your own workflow. How do you come up with ideas? How do you structure your videos? How do you design your thumbnails? How do you decide what to upload next? And if your answer feels uncertain or inconsistent, then that's a sign that your system needs improvement, because without a clear process, every video feels like starting from zero, and starting from zero repeatedly slows down growth significantly. This is also where audience feedback becomes extremely valuable, because your viewers are not just consumers, they are signals. They tell you what they like, what they ignore, what they respond to, and if you pay attention, you can refine your content in a way that aligns more closely with what your audience actually wants without losing your brand identity. But here's the balance that most creators struggle to maintain. You cannot become so focused on audience demands that you lose your originality, because if you only create what others want, you lose what makes you unique. And without uniqueness, your brand becomes replaceable, and replaceable content rarely builds long-term success. So the goal is not to blindly follow trends or chase every piece of feedback, but to understand your audience while staying true to your identity, to evolve without losing direction, to adapt without losing consistency, and that balance is what creates sustainable growth. And as you continue building, one more truth becomes clear. Quality matters, but clarity matters more, because even the highest quality content fails if people don't understand what it's about or why they should care, which means your message must always be clear, focused, and easy to grasp within seconds. Now look at your channel again, not as a creator, but as a strategist, and ask yourself, does every video serve a purpose? Does every upload strengthen my brand? Does my content create a consistent experience that builds trust over time? Because if the answer is yes, then you are already on the path to building something powerful, something that grows beyond random success into something stable and long-lasting. And in this stage of your journey, the shift is no longer just about making videos. It's about building a system, creating structure, understanding your audience, refining your content, and aligning everything with a clear brand identity. Because once all these pieces come together, your channel transforms from a collection of videos into a cohesive experience, and that experience is what people remember, return to, and recommend. So as you move forward, remember this. Every video is not just content. It's a building block. Every upload is not just an action. It's a decision. And every decision either strengthens your brand or weakens it. And the difference between the two determines whether your channel becomes something temporary or something truly powerful.